Hello and welcome to the Comedian's Paradise. This is a podcast where we speak to clowns, actors, theatre performers, comedians from across the world that will influence comedians and performers like you and me to chase the performer's journey on our own terms. Now, today's guest is a real geezer of clown. He's a man that knows the clown like the back of his hand. He is a man who knows Philippe and Michiko intensely, and Carla. He is a man who's taught many different comedians about clowns. He brings the seed of Philippe Gaulier to the UK shore. Please
Love
welcome.
that. Just this like carrying around in a little pot like Philippe's seed everywhere. Have a little look at this. This is
And how do you spread it round, Mark? Do you just get a little water?
yeah, water it, mate. I've got a plant pot somewhere. Every year I just drop a seed into it and see what happens.
Oh, like Jack and the Beanstalk.
That's it, mate. Yeah. See, sometimes it grows, sometimes it doesn't.
Needs the right nutrients.
Yeah.
Please welcome Mark Curtis.
Hello,
Yeah.
everybody. Hello. Thank you for having me on. I feel like a fraud. That was a big intro.
Oh, thank you, man. It was quite an interesting intro. I mean, mention the seed stuff. What a way to go.
Yeah, what a way to go. Yeah. Yeah, look, there's no doubt. There's no doubt that I am a clown. I've just got a kind of an odd way of going about it, I suppose. In that, I'm not on the circuit, as it were. I'm not a performer at the moment. I have the mind of a performer. I have performed. I have a theatre company, but me myself at the moment, I'm not performing. So if any listeners out there are kind of going, who is this guy and why haven't we seen him? Well, you won't have done.
Well,
You won't, unless you were at Gaulier in 2010, 12 through to 13, or you I don't know, maybe a few pubs in South London you might have wandered into, and I would have been sat in the corner. But yeah, you probably won't have heard of me or seen me really.
but you've been involved in like bringing Philippe to the UK. You've taught a lot
Yeah.
of clown workshops,
Yeah.
and
Sorry, yeah.
you are no better the words. You are part of the clown world.
I am indeed. Yeah, I am. Yeah, you're right. I have produced with my colleague Jason. We've produced Philippe's workshop here in the UK before COVID, probably for about 7 years. And as mentioned, yeah, I spent a lot of time at the school between 2012 and 13 when it moved out to a Tomp. And before that in So doing the clown summer school. And I met Philippe in 2010, and I don't know how, but just this extraordinary relationship developed. Yeah, how did that happen? Because I was the same as everyone. I tell you what happened. I tell you exactly what happened actually. I rocked up to So where the school was, and it was above this telephone exchange, right? This is a bit of a long story, but I'll try and give it in brief. But telephone exchanges have got a really unique smell, like wire and plastic, like this really unique smell. And my dad was a British telecom engineer.
Okay.
And my dad used to take me to work when I was a kid, when he was working on a Saturday morning. And I used to go into the telecom exchanges. And there was this smell. It was a really unique smell. You wouldn't get it anywhere else. Anyway, I sort of turned up in So. I was staying in Paris, and I turned up in So, and I was like a couple of hours early because I wanted to make sure I was on time. Hate being late. And I was sort of looking around for this school and going, where the hell is this? I expected this almost like drama school type look. I'd spent some time at Mount View Theatre School in North London, and drama school kind of feel. Where is this damn drama school? I'm standing outside this place, and I look at the door, and I just happen to look at the buzzer things, and at the bottom, Ecole Philippe Gaulier, and I was like, it's a buzzer. right. But this is a telephone exchange, right? It's like a telecom place. Hold on a minute. And I swear to God, I went, it's not there. Even though it said Ecole Philippe Gaulier, I went, it's not there. It's not there. This is a joke. In my head, I went, this is it. I sort of started doing this on the street. There's a group of people somewhere looking out of the window going, ha, look, another idiot, another person who's come to have a look at this thing. I thought, no, this just feels really, really odd. Anyway, press the buzzer, and the door opens, and it's like, up you go. And of course, like I say, I was really early. And I turned up, like I was wearing, it was summer in Paris, so it's quite warm outside. I was wearing these shorts. I'm not going to say that they were Hawaiian shorts, but they were quite bright, And I had this t-shirt on with it had a picture of a sunset on it. It was quite tropical. And I sort of walked upstairs, and I walked through this corridor, and there was a bunch of people, and they were all in like skin tight blacks. Almost like the way I always imagined Lecoq might have looked like, or the mime artist, that kind of stuff. And I kind of walked down, and I kind of went, instantly kind of anxiety just went, oh, no way. They're all in black. I didn't get that email or that memo. Right. I'm just going to, all right, this could be a leg it for the door, mate moment. So let's just go in. And I stood in this corridor, and then this girl came towards me, whom I now know as Susanna. And she grabbed me by that, and she was beaming. She just had these bright eyes. She was like, it was like her spirit was dancing around everywhere, just as she approached me. With a big smile on her face. And she took me by the arm. She said, come with me. And I was like, oh, yeah. And she took me into this room, and Michiko was sat there at a computer, and I didn't know who she was, obviously, at that time, at this computer. And she just sort of looked, Michiko, looked at me. And when you first meet Michiko, she plays fierce quite well. And you sort of look at her. And I looked at this lady, and I just thought, okay, oh, computer, this is me signing in. This is just a formality. No worries. But she seemed to kind of be looking me up and down like this. And then all of a sudden, I heard from the side, I like your costume. And I turned. There, sat in the corner, was this little man, who obviously I instantly went, that's Philippe Gaulier. I've obviously seen pictures. And he had these little red spectacles on, and his beard, and he was sat there, and he was just looking at me. I think he was doing his beard like this. I like your costume. And I kind of just stood there, perfect fixed point, had not a clue what to say. And I came back to him with, yeah, well, I like your glasses. And he laughed. And he laughed at me. And Michiko then laughed. Susanna then laughed. And I kind of was like, and they were like, Michiko then, who are you? I said, Mark Curtis. She went, okay, yeah, you're signed in. Silence, awkward. And I went, can I go? Shall I go now? Shall I? And Philippe, you do what you like. I was like, okay, yeah. And I went back into the corridor, and I sort of stood in the corridor going, what's going on? That was just a really weird, but it went on from there. From that moment on, I had a connection with Philippe in some way. I would hound him during the break times, ask him questions, constantly badger him with crappy jokes. I'd ask him, when are we going to go out and drink? Because I think me and you need to drink some alcohol. I think that would be really good fun. And he sort of loved the game. He loved this play. We organized to go out several times, and several times Michiko kind of went, no, absolutely not. You two are not going drinking together, because I don't know what this weird little British man's going to do. And this incredible relationship that I'm incredibly proud, overjoyed, in love. yeah, this incredible relationship grew out of that. And I think of him very, very fondly as one of my dear friends.
And did you know that you were going to be friends straight away from that interaction, or did it?
I I kind of did. I don't know if it was the nostalgia of just that. It was just something about that place, like I say, the smell and everything else, but something came alive in me that seemed to reach deep inside and sort of just pull me out. My introduction to clowning was actually I did some mask theatre work at university at the Montfort University in Leicester with one of the founder members of Trestle Theatre Company in the UK, a lady called Sally Cook, and we were doing some mask work as one of the modules, and I was enjoying it. I was having a really good time, but she turned around to me and she just said, "You know, I think you'd love clowning." And I was like, "Okay, what is this then? What's clowning all about?" Back then I was 18, 19, man, 19, 20 years old. And I had this kind of one, two, maybe three ideas as to what theatre could be. It was like musical theatre in the West End. It was TV, like serious acting, TV, film, RSC, that kind of thing. Or there was this other stuff, this alternative stuff that was like mask, physical, that kind of thing. But theatrical clowning and me had never really come into contact. And yeah, Sally Cook said, "I think you'll really enjoy it." A couple of weeks later, she did a taster session and I went along to it. And sure enough, I really enjoyed it. And I started to look online for where I could do these things. So this clowning thing, how can I develop that as a skill? Where's the workshop that I need to go to do this thing? And I sort of couldn't find one. And I saw Philippe Gaulier, but I couldn't afford that at the time. I was, still at uni and everything else. There was the Lecoq School. There was other bits and pieces going on. John Wright was about. I picked up all these names, but nothing seemed to just fall into place financially or the timings because of my university schedule. Eventually, I finished uni. I went. I was in Leicester. Moved straight back to London, and started trying to forge a career as an actor, which is again a very specific job. Doing the same thing. Being in a play and kind of repeat the process. And after about 3 years of doing that, and I was good. I was working, and a lot of my friends weren't working. Everything sort of pointed towards me developing that as an idea, an actor's career. But I was desperately unhappy, and I knew I was unhappy. And I was actually doing a play in London, a comedy. It was all right. It weren't bad. It was doing quite well box office wise. It was at a theatre out Earl's Courtway, and I just remember the last night. It was the last week. I looked online and I saw Angela de Castro was doing a workshop up in Edinburgh, and there was a few places left. And I went, "Clown, that's it. I've got nothing on for the next 2 weeks. I finished this play on Saturday. I'm going to do that." In fact, no, we finished the play on the Sunday night. That was it. And the clown course started on the Monday morning. So I finished the play. I got the overnight sleeper train to Edinburgh. And I went up to Edinburgh and I did a couple of weeks clowning around with Angela de Castro, or DC as she likes to be called, up in Edinburgh. And that was the start right there. Something in those 2 weeks. But then DC said to me at the end of it, "You should go to Philippe Gaulier." But that was in Marvin, that was in like 2002, 3.
Whoa!
Yeah. And it was another 10 years before I got out to him.
Whoa!
Yeah. So 10 years of me being, I don't know what I did in that 10 years. I was lost. I was a lost character back then. I mean, speak to any of my friends, and I was a different man to what I am now, but which is another reason why I adore clown so much, because of what it's given me. But I'm not going to say I was an asshole, but drama school didn't appeal to me because it was very ego driven. It felt to me that you needed that. It felt like you had to have that kind of, not I'm the best, but I'm bloody good, and I'm going to push myself to the front, and I'm I'm really good at what I do, and love me, love me, love me. I'm great, I'm great, I'm great. And I never disliked people for having that. I really respected it, but I just knew I didn't have that myself. I'm just not that kind of person to push myself to the front. So drama school for me, I did a year at drama school, and then I left because it just wasn't for me. Fell into the university route really because my academics at school weren't that great. So I sort of fell into this performing arts degree at De Montfort, and the rest is history. But I still, in my head, even after that experience at university and with De Castro, I still believed that I had to be an actor. I didn't really know about a clown's career, or more specifically an artist's career. I thought I was supposed to job it as an actor in London, living the dream, up in Crystal, on the Triangle in Crystal Palace, and every now and again doing a play somewhere obscure whilst working in a restaurant, and then getting a job. Wow, got a job, and then leaving your flat in London for 6 months because you were on tour or doing panto. I did panto every year for 15 years. And I was jobbing as an actor, but I was deeply unhappy. And then eventually, oh wow, this is long. I just got to a point where I sort of had a few catastrophes in my life personally, and you hit rock bottom, and my life was sad. Really sad, really, really sad, profoundly sad. And I'd lost my joy. I was good at presenting, idiot, this kind of strange, quirky guy in the corner of a pub, quite every now and again, larger than life fun. But underneath it all, I was just completely gone. And something needed to change. And I just remembered, this Philippe Gaulier thing. And around the same time, after some trauma in the family, I sort of made a decision. Well, this is either going to go that way, or I've got to try and go this way. So I started with me, and I started to do some physical things. So I started running. I started to do some healthy things, and as I started to do those healthy things, the mind sort of cleared a bit, and this Philippe Gaulier thing became a bigger picture and a bigger picture and a bigger picture, until eventually I couldn't ignore it. And that was it. I signed up and went over to Philippe in 2010. And when I got there, as I say, that first meeting with him in that office, bang, it's like he reached inside of me and went, yeah, you're going to be all right here. You've got weird clothes on. And let's go. Let's just go and have some fun. And that's of course what happened then for that whole summer period. Yeah, joy, absolute joyous. Yeah, met some fantastic people, of course, like-minded people, which is another a big part of clown, I think, is when you're in a room with people and they just get it. They don't necessarily get on stage and have 20 minutes of joy and never flop or anything like that. They just get it. They're there. People used to laugh in 2010. They used to say we were like a group of misfits. The people who didn't quite fit into musical theatre, or the people who didn't quite fit into this or to that or this or that. I now think that's wrong. I think we fit in everywhere, but I know what they mean. And being with like-minded people, it's all of a sudden a snowball effect. And it just drove and it just got bigger and bigger and bigger. And this clown thing became my sort of my playground, really, my place to be and to be me.
And how did what's it called? How would you say it changed you? Because I mean, I think the whole Gaulier experience definitely changes whoever
Uh,
you are.
yeah, I think in order to get that, you need to understand where you were, and I think I was basically scared. I was basically scared that I thought I had to be an actor. I told everybody I was going to be an actor, even at school when my academics were not going in the direction that every school teacher wanted them to go into. Even my parents were very supportive. I'm very lucky, but they would have preferred me to have got better grades and to have been slightly more focused on schoolwork back then. So no, I'm going to be an actor. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I actually wanted to be a sports person, but a teacher turned around to me and said I wasn't going to be big enough to be a professional rugby player. So my sort of sporting dream died. And then it was almost like back then, the next best thing in my head was that I could do, that I knew I could do and get some enjoyment out of. My dad had always said to me, do something you love, because then you never have to work a day in your life. You know, he was interested in the arts, but he ended up being a BT engineer. And he got some joy out of that with the people he worked with. But I think what he was just trying to say to me was that, mate, consider your options here. So my mum and dad very supportive anyway, but I'd sort of dug that hole. I dug that sort of trench for myself, that journey, one journey, an actor's journey. This is what I'm going to be. And I didn't dare come outside of that trench because I thought everyone's going to go, oh, you dick, now what are you going to do? What you've told us you're going to do this for years. So as a human being, I was very scared. And what I would say clowning did was it sort of, and what Philippe with his teachings did was first of all, it ignited me. It ignited that kind of, those feelings inside that there was something more. There's something more here in me than just being in this place. I want to be expressive. I want to be, there's something about, there's this wonderful quote, actually, maybe this helps explain it better, but if you say acting, actors for the most part follow the logic of conscious choice. Yeah. So, you get a text, there's a character, there's an argument. Okay, so my choice here is to shout that line. So I'm making a choice to play angry. I'm going to shout that line. So they logical choices. You see, clowns, they love the logic of swimming in the stream of consciousness, which is like, if I do this and you do this, and you, yeah, good. And now you do this, and now I do this, and now you do this, and I do this, and I do, and we're all in this kind of this world. Nobody knows where we're going, but on it goes and on it goes together, all of us together. And I just felt that was more me. There was like a real creative, it's sort of, I say, clown reached inside of me. It said, get over your fear. Get over the fear of leaving this thing behind. Get involved in this, jump in here, share something of yourself. Don't wait to be told what to do over here, by a director or by somebody else. This is the career that you must follow. Come over here and make it happen for yourself. And once I started that journey, taking control of my existence and going, well, this is how I feel. This is what I think. This is what I believe. As I say, it just, I believe what started to happen was I started to emerge, which is, where I am now.
Yeah.
Arguably successful in some ways. Depends how you define success, but
Yeah, you bring along a few interesting points there. So, I mean, school is definitely there's nothing like it. I mean, the things in that school, I mean, we mentioned it before the podcast, and we're like, can we say this? Can we say that? The things that happen at school are quite something. But I think one thing I will say, I mean, the school's produced a lot of extremely successful and amazing people. And I say that there's a flip side. A lot of people have a great time there, but then there's others that where it just doesn't work out for them, but they still gain something from it, I would say. I've spoken to a few on both sides of the spectrum. The majority of people that go there have a great time and they gain a lot from it. For myself, I definitely it made me more committed into that. Don't try and be a funny stand-up, just be a be a clown. That's what I do. That makes people laugh. So focus more on that. I also found a comedy character. I play Zorro on stage, so that it gave me that. Um, it also, yeah, I'd say in a lot of aspects, I did enjoy it. I learned a lot from it, but there were bits I'd say I didn't even fit in there either. So I didn't fit.
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't fit. I'll be honest, I did not fit in either of the times I was there. And there, but I will say one thing because I have seen instances where people have been kicked out of the school. I remember when I was there the second time, there was a really mad incident which I wasn't there or I didn't see of, but there was a girl. Shall I say her name? No, I won't say her name. But she got in a big argument with Philippe, and they got in a big like he was roasting her. She didn't like it, and then she said, "Oh, like he's a bad teacher, whatever." And then after that, she got kicked out. And then I heard like the previous year, like there was guys complaining, "I've been working bars. You, how dare you say this?" Or there'll be instances where people would, if Carlo was on or another teacher, would avoid it and just go to Philippe's lesson, and then they got kicked out. But then obviously you have people like Zach, you have all sorts of people that have really learned from it. And majority of times, a lot of people build great friendships from it.
Yeah.
I'd say a roundabout way in all of it, I think you'll gain something from it, whether like clowning is for you or it's not, I'd say.
I think so. I mean, you can never know what somebody else's experience truly is. And I know people who have been through the school who have gone, nah, not for me. This just wasn't for me. You asked me that. I suppose I'm not even sure I answered your question, Marvin. But what changed for me was I think I learned on the vehicle of learning how to be a clown.
Okay.
I think I learned how to navigate my own ego
Ah,
and how to recognize that sometimes my ego was not useful and sometimes it is. And when you recognize that, it becomes a real skill to be able to use it and not use it at will. And also to navigate a creative journey. I think something that people lose sight of when they're at Philippe Gaulier is, and maybe some people don't even have this to begin with. And this is the sad thing about the school in a way, because it is open to all, which is a wonderful thing. Philippe doesn't discriminate. It's not like Lecoq where you have to audition for the second year.
whoa.
You can go to Philippe, you can do, he calls it his a la carte menu where you can go and you can do a term. Somebody wants to go and do clowning and Shakespeare or whatever it is, or Chekhov, and you can pick what you go and do. When I was there, I felt that there were some people who were there because of the name Philippe Gaulier. And in that way, they wanted to put that name on their CV. But what I think a lot of people don't realize is that there is an incredible amount of work, dedication, an incredible amount of vision that needs to go into a clowning career. To be a really good clown, you have to nurture your own curiosity. You have to be curious about the world. It's not something that I think can be acted. You don't, in clown, you don't act. And if you do act, we might love you for 30 seconds. But then all of a sudden it becomes clear that you're acting because the act runs out, you appear. And actually what we discover in that way, and it's the bit after the act when the clown emerges, because the true human being, the vulnerability of not hiding behind an act, starts to unravel. And that when that unravels, now, if you think about that as an idea, therefore it asks different questions of the performer or the person. It's asking you to go somewhere slightly different, to vulnerability, to be exposed, to be vulnerable, to stand there with nothing and then offer something of yourself and risk that it might not be liked. But then the skill comes in, right? Which is understanding that you offer something of yourself, it's a big flop. But the big flop brings the tension in the room. Now you've got the tension in the room, the skill, break the tension. You're in that lovely scientific place, it's a science take going on here, which is tension, break tension. We smile, we laugh. You do something, the audience goes, oh God, that was awful. Great, you've got them there. Break the tension. Oh, he thinks it's crap, and they smile, they laugh. So you've got to learn those skills. You've got to go through that. You've got to, it's that lovely thing about being a competent, isn't it? Conscious competence, So first of all, we're ignorant, right? We've got this ignorance, incompetence going on. Then we become aware of it, and we become sort of consciously incompetent. Then we start to practice the skills, and we try and we fail, and we try and we fail, we try and we fail, and we move into this kind of conscious competence. But then when you've been up there a hell of a lot, you've done the work, you've been through Gaulier, you've stood on the stage, you've heard the drum enough times, you've gone through it, or you move into that beautiful place of subconscious competence, where all of a sudden you go, I'm good here now. But the amount of work to get there is a lot. And I think a lot of people just thought, I'm going to go to Gaulier. Clowning is this thing where you get up and you improvise a bit. I'll go improvise. I'll get a few laughs. And if I don't, then anyway, I've been at Gaulier, it can go on my CV. But when they were getting banged off the stage, 30 seconds, no pleasure, no joy, no connection with the audience, they're like, their ego gets a kick. And their ego responds, well, I'm, the quickest way to elevate your ego, well, I'm good, this must be shit, So I saw that a lot, and my heart bled for Philippe, because I saw him have several arguments, and I on several occasions, and I won't mention names either, but I would hope that the people involved appreciated that, because grew to appreciate what he was trying to do with them afterwards. Maybe not in the moment when emotion's high, but maybe further down the road. I mean, I had several beers with a couple of people that had a sort of a set to with Philippe, and I always wanted to support people. I've always been like that, and I remember sort of putting my arm around, in particular, this guy, and just sort of saying, look, it's all right, dude. It's just that didn't work. But so for example, you see this a lot at Gaulier, don't you? Someone comes on, tries something. So Philippe puts us all in a costume, day one. So let's say you're a cricketer, and you come on and you do this thing with a bat and a ball, and Philippe bangs the drum and goes, no, we put this guy in a bin, and that's it. You're off the stage, and you stand there, and everyone looks and goes, yeah, that was awful. And you stand there and you take it and you go, okay, and you sit down. And then everybody else has a go. And then the next exercise, and the same person gets up and they get with their bat and the ball, and the same bat and ball gag. Did it work this time? They kind of go, and Philippe bang drum. No. This guy, we see this guy before. He's now in the bin with acid. Yes. And we go, yeah, okay. Everybody in the audience is going, oh, this is hard to watch, but just don't stop doing that gag with the ball and the bat. Stop it. Try and find something else. But in that moment, the performer is desperately trying to find some sort of comfort, but actually it's the discomfort that takes them in the right direction. And so in that moment, then Philippe, they get up again, third time. But Philippe, I haven't done anything yet. All I've done is hit the ball with the bat. And Philippe goes, exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. And we all go, and now it's funny, and now the person standing there, everyone's laughing, the person with the ball, and now they're hilarious, and it's because all of a sudden they've dropped the ego, they've dropped that want to be that want to be comfortable on stage. And if you think about what acting is, actors, you know, the aim is to be comfortable. Well, it used to be, you know, if you think about director, actor, the vision is this. I feel that you come onto the stage there. You stand there. We used to call it blocking, didn't we? You stand there, then this happens there, then that line a little bit more like that. Brilliant. Let's just do that again. Brilliant. Do it again. That bit. Oh, just add that. Oh, yeah. Perfect. That's it. We'll like that. And that can happen every night. And now everyone's comfortable in that space. So you feel comfortable. I know what I'm doing. Myself is hidden behind this act, this sort of, you know, this is what we've designed, what we've come up with.
Yeah.
Wow. And you do that in clown, it's boring. It's so boring. And we want to see you panic. We want you to connect with us first and let us into that world of panic, of real humane stuff that we all feel. And that's what grips you. And that's what gripped me and ultimately got me over a lot of my fears back then. And I think, like I alluded to before before we started the podcast, but it's so powerful. It's been so good for me. Of course, I want to pass it on. It's my job. That's my job. I have a responsibility there. If, you know, there are so many young people falling through the net of our school system in this country, you know, just forget school children. So many actors I know who are out there on the acting circuit, in the actors world, who are just in the same trench that I was in, trying to forge a career that there's some weird light at the end that says they've made it, whether that be a TV role or whatever it is they believe. Two of my friends recently made it to that light, turned around at the end and went, yeah, it ain't all that. It's not what I started this journey to do. I started this journey to be a creative person, or that was at least something in me that I felt. Now I intellectually understand it. I have to look somewhere else, but you know, so yeah, I felt for people at the school, but you know, I also admired the brilliance of Philippe. You know, he did some things when I was there that, to outsiders looking in, you would say, you just can't do that. But I know for a fact that the performer, out of these kind of really quite, so I'm being quite cryptic, aren't I? I don't know whether I can. Shall I give you a little bit of a delve into one session?
Well, yeah, why not?
Why not?
I'll say something that I saw that was quite mad. I'll say
Go
some
on.
of the things.
Go
So I
on.
remember there was a guy and a girl on stage, and to get them to loosen up, he told them to start spanking each other. And then what else did he say? There was a German guy, and they wanted him to do more emotive speech to what he was doing. So
Yeah.
he told him, pretend to be Adolf Hitler.
Yeah.
And then,
Yeah.
I mean, it's a bit mad, but it
Yeah.
worked.
Yeah. Well, I mean, wow. I mean, we'll get to that in a moment, but I mean, exactly that. So a performer comes on stage with their ego and they present something. And, you know, let's say it's week one. Every afternoon, clown. So 5 days worth of 4 hours clown. And by the Friday, we're all in different costumes. We've all been on the stage. We all understand the drill and what's going on. And a performer gets up and their act begins, and they come on and they do something. And Philippe bangs his drum. And after a minute, sometimes less, sometimes a bit more, whatever it is, they leave the stage and they leave. And then socially outside the school, the chatter starts, you know. Oh, he didn't give me very long today. Like I felt that this was going to go somewhere, but he didn't give me long enough to let it go anywhere. Okay, all right. And then you go into week 2 and you're beginning to pick up the skills. You're sort of beginning to understand by watching other people that, Philippe likes in Red Nose Clown, Philippe likes somebody to come on stage, connect with us straight away, like, within seconds, look at the audience. But it's more than that. There's like a joy to be there, pleasure, right? It's real pleasure to stand in front of us. And you can only see that in the eyes, there's this pleasure. Sometimes a performer might come on, connect with us, and there's what I call pleasure fear. It's like, oh God, and that is also incredibly compelling, incredibly fun. So Philippe kind of, they stand on. Anyway, this person comes on with their act, and you see them step onto the stage. They don't look at us. They do their thing again that didn't get them any success the week before. They do it harder. They seem to do more of it for some reason. It's like they're really trying to show this thing now. No connection to us, no fixed point, and we watch it and there's no laughter. And again, we all cringe and Philippe bangs the drum. And now the person starts to get a bit vocal with Philippe and say, yeah, but whoa, Philippe, I've only been on the stage like 30 seconds. Just give me a bit more time. No. Philippe asked everyone, do we give this guy more time? And everyone sort of, that sort of moment in the audience where you go, we know what he's saying. We can't tell you what to do because it's for you to discover. Part of the Philippe way is you discover, which is joyous, right? You connect, you take control of your destiny. If Philippe starts to go, look, you've got no fixed point, your sort of brain changes. It goes in a different direction, and all of a sudden you go, teacher pupil, he's going to tell me what to do now. So it shuts you down because now you come on and you do exactly what he said. So he purposefully doesn't say anything, and must be an incredible skill for him because he sits and watches all of us, for years and years and years, flop after flop after flop, and not understand. Anyway, just fast forward that to week 4, and the same person coming on the stage doing the same thing, the same act. Now they're just having a terrible time. Philippe says, you are in crisis because you're 4 weeks at the school. You've had barely 5 seconds on the stage because you step on the stage, you do the same thing. Philippe gets to a point where it's like, well, I either let this person lead the school and they walk away pretty much with nothing, none the wiser, or I've got to do something now with this person who I think definitely there's more. They want to offer. This person wants to offer something. I've got to do something with this person where I slap them out of it. And it is that. That ego, it needs to be slapped out of some people, get them to drop. So something needs to happen in order for them to drop all of that stuff, all of that baggage, all of those ideas, all of that presentation, all of that ego. And, Philippe's got a very sometimes harsh way of doing that with people. One of the great things people used to say at Gaulier a lot, but Philippe, I feel this. And Philippe would go, yeah, it's great that you feel that, but I'm in the audience. I want to feel something. Our jobs up there is to offer something of yourself, bring something new to the table, connect with us, that it brings us to life in that moment. And then we both go from that place.
Yeah, no, I mean, this is no, it is a lot of that. Yeah, it's he did a lot of those sort of exercises with me, which sort of I remember. Fucking hell, this is gonna be deep.
Go on.
Oh, fucking hell. I remember I went on stage and I was going in quite confident or whatever, and then it was for the Buffon thing.
Yeah.
And he got someone to go on stage and effectively, fucking hell, this is going to be deep, but uh, he wanted us to talk about sex or whatever, and I'd never had a girlfriend. I had sex at the time, and he wanted me to talk about it, and I was lying on it, and then I got ripped open by the person who's on the stage with me, and I got lots of big laughs from it, and it was very embarrassing and very uncomfortable. And people were saying, "Oh, Andrew was being quite brutal and whatever," but it is as you said, you got to be comfortable. Like if I'd held on to my ego and like gotten really angry and maybe got aggressive to Andrew or like would have had a go at Philippe or whatever, it wouldn't be funny, it wouldn't work. But because I was embarrassed and I felt very uncomfortable and I went along with it, it was quite funny
Yeah.
and it went quite well. And I've had a few times where he did direct me. Like I'll go in thinking I was doing something else. I was wearing a mask or something. Um, and I was trying to do something. It didn't work. But then he told me to walk up and down
Yeah.
the stage. And one thing I didn't know when I was walking up and down, there was a bit where people were laughing, but I didn't know what it was. But
Yeah. Yeah.
I had the mask and I couldn't see. But I was like a centimeter away as I stopped from barging into the what are those black things called again?
Yeah. The wing space at the side.
Yes, yes. I was like a meter away from it, and I stopped there, and they started laughing, and I didn't know why they were laughing, so I just kept on doing it again and again,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I got huge laughs out of it, and I still didn't know why I got
Still
the
didn't know
huge
why.
laughs.
You know what? That's incredible, right? Because what you described there. I mean, first thing, just listening to what you say there is again the language around it is dead interesting because you said Philippe directed you. So, and this is my take, but for me, Philippe worked with you. And it's slightly different. Directing you in certainly in this country is very much kind of leans into the idea of I'm going to direct you around the stage, yeah. Which, as you then described, he asked you to walk up and down. So you could argue that it's a direction, walk up and down, but there's more to it than that with Philippe. And in that way, because you, like you say, you described there, you don't know why is everyone all of a sudden laughing? Where's this laugh coming from? You've got to trust. You on the stage now you've placed yourself in this man's hand, and you've got to trust that something is coming from this. This is leading somewhere, and I just gotta stay up here and follow the dots because they are dots. There's no like, he didn't say walk up and down and poke your chest out and look confident. It's walk up and down. These are like little bullet point things that you just follow. And what he knows is that there is something beautiful about you that is going to come out of this moment. He just knows. And that's how he places his provocations in the room. So, okay, yeah, spanking maybe a bit, for some people, or sometimes he's a naughty. So I think he's a naughty man, and he has his own. If he's seen certain things for a week, I wonder if he kind of goes, I've not seen anyone spank for a while.
Yes.
And it's just let's just what have I not seen for a long time that I'd quite like to see today. But I think what he's really good at is seeing the human being and going, you're staying up because I know that this is coming, and we're just going to do this, and let's see where we go. Let's see where we go. And when you trust that and you allow that to happen for you on the stage, slowly it starts to fall out. But as you say, many occasions, just like the one you described, where I was up there, people were laughing. I ain't got a clue what for, not a clue. Which sort of in there, you've got a bit of a problem when you're, I think that's probably why there are not that many clown troupes out there, because you really need to trust the outside eye. You really need someone who's going to sit out front that you really trust, who is going to have the vision and understand what they're looking at, to be able to go, that bit there goes in the show. 9 days of flop, failure, rubbish, just to find that one golden nugget at the end of 5:30 on a Friday when everyone's pissed off and wants to go home, and they go, that's the golden bit that goes in the show. See you on Monday morning.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
What was the incident where you particularly remember where you had that sort of situation as we've discussed, like where you remember the most?
It was hilarious. So at the end of term, well, first of all, on a Friday, as I'm sure you will be aware from being there, you had to work with the group through the week, and then you would turn up on a Friday and you would have worked on something and you would present. And at the end of the neutral mask module, which is in the first year, and so you go neutral leisure, neutral mask, leisure. At the end of the neutral mask module, we'd been doing a lot of kind of like looking at animalistics, colors, which is where you or elements where you embody neutral mask, go back to neutral, but when you come onto the stage, you really embody, what it is to be a walking, breathing version of the earth, or a walking, breathing version of the air. And we'd been on this journey looking at that. And then we started to Philippe leaned into this idea of us being artists, and not to think of theatre as one thing, as musical theatre or as film acting. It's just, what the whole picture, because he believes that all of this stuff is for your clown, right? And that's how he runs the school with his pedagogy. It's everything else aims to, all of this stuff that we look at is usable for your clown. Anyway, at the end of this term, there was a big, both years, second year and first year, came together, and we had to do a little presentation of what we'd been learning. And we came together in the upstairs studio, and me and a guy, my friend Ned, glorious human being, who had actually been, he was unique. He'd been studying at Cambridge University in the UK. Very clever guy, very intellectual guy. We'd been working together, and we'd come up with this idea of doing like a Van Gogh painting, but like sort of being on stage and being the colors of the Van Gogh painting, right? And we'd watched other people get up there, and I'll be honest, in my head, it wasn't for me. I was going, get up stage and be a color, it's yeah, all right, whatever. But I'll give it a go, and we'll go and we'll do something with it. And me and Ned had met, but we'd kind of met, and in typical British fashion, we met several times when we were supposed to be rehearsing and sat in a pub somewhere watching, watching some sort of British sport. Terrible tourists, not embracing local culture at all. Just kind of like let's catch up on the football or the rugby or whatever it was. So we kind of didn't really have that much to show. And we got on the stage, and we started to do, it was like one of the paintings, I can't remember which painting it was, the rowing boat one or whatever, what Van Gogh painting. We started to do this thing. And we were just trying to embody being these colors and da-da-da-da. And then, and it was very, major, minor. So Ned did a bit, and then he passed the focus over to me, and then I did a bit. And that was kind of the only structure. We followed a few of the simple skills, the rules, focus, and all that kind of stuff. And Ned did his bit, and everyone was like, it was like people just watching. And then he sort of like passed it to me, and I started to do my color, and I was doing like white, and I was doing it down on the floor, doing this white thing. And I just started to hear people laugh. And I sort of fixed the point, little looked at Ned. Ned just sort of looked at me as if to say, just keep going. I kind of just sort of carried on. And we had a really good time. We brought the house down. I hadn't got a clue what was going on. I hadn't got a clue. And I sort of did white, and I looked at the audience as if to say, can I stop now? And they laughed even more. And then I kind of went, well, white's over, so now I'll do cream. So I started to do like, this is my cream. And laughter. And then at the end, Philippe did his 5 bangs on the drum. We kind of went, oh my God, that was successful. Why? And Philippe goes, you didn't give us anything. He just went, Mac, the clown workshop is downstairs. And that was it. And I got off the stage, I was none the wiser. But one of the guys, a good friend of mine in the second year, kind of, he came over to me at the end and he said, you know, it was just obviously the movements you were doing were just funny. The fact that you kept changing rhythm really, and you had a really good big connection, but you were so baffled. You were so baffled. You clearly didn't have a clue what was going on. That was driving the source of the laughter. But then also your shorts, there was like one of the drawstrings of my shorts had fallen out. So every time I moved, it looked a little bit like my penis had fallen out of my costume or something like that. So you had that. Of course, I had no idea that was going on either. It wasn't intentional. It had just happened. So, but again, a glorious moment for you on stage, but another kind of one of those moments that goes in here that you go back to, that you become proud of, and your little ego comes out and goes, oh, look, I was successful with Gaulier in that. But for me, those moments very quickly moved to like an alarm bell. It was like, there's what's in there. There's something in there to learn. There's more clown in this moment to learn. How can I bring that to what I'm doing? It's astonishing to sit here in front of you, and like I said at the beginning, I feel like a fraud because many people listen to this like say, who is this guy? And I'm not performing at the moment. I haven't performed for quite a long time. Myself and Jay, I don't have a clown show. Tom Fox, who I know has been on your podcast, he's so good. And
He is very good.
He works every year. He produces 2-3 shows, and every year he performs or directs. And since he's been at Gaulier, he's definitely now found his clown, and he's performing in his clown. And I get the feeling a lot of the time that people look at me sometimes, even when we went over to Philippe's birthday recently, they sort of go, where's your fucking clown show, man? When are you doing this thing? When are you going to do it? And the only thing I can say to that is, I'm not ready. Like, I've got all of this stuff. I've got lots of things in here. I've got, obviously the skills, the love, the joy, the passion, which is the price of admission, but the work ethic, all of these things are in play. My character is I'm very comfortable in my own skin. And now because I'm comfortable in my own skin, I am prepared to be vulnerable as hell. Different people are at different parts of that journey. And what's interesting is about your story, Marvin, is there was obviously something about you in that moment that was willing to go there. You were willing to go there. Maybe by accident. Maybe Philippe, saw something and therefore he took you into that place. The other person came on the stage, all of a sudden you've got another actor to kind of, and that actor overdoes it, or that performer overdoes it, or that clown overdoes it. And this performer might be somewhere completely different. It's such a delicate process, But for me personally, it's about being willing to go there. It asks different questions of the person, and better people make better ... right? If you're a better person, then, you're going to be a better husband, a better dad, a better member of society, a better this, that, and the other. And that's what clown gave me. I'm a better human being because Philippe reached inside me and gave me back control of where I was going. And I'm okay being vulnerable now. I mean, look at me. Oh, it's yeah. Sorry, I've just kind of lost the thread a little bit there, waffling. So just slap me and say, shut up, man. What are you talking about, you strange bold man?
Yeah, I mean, I would say one thing, and can I be honest here?
Yeah, of course.
Philippe, Carlo, and Michiko have done a lot for me as a performer, as a person. And like there's the lessons that I'll never, what's it called, take for granted. Like it's made me realize what sort of comedy I want to do and where my strength in making people laugh is more so than anything else. That score.
Yeah.
But have you heard of the book called Extreme Ownership?
I've heard of this book. Yes.
So it's called Jocko Willink, where you take responsibility for the things you do
Yeah,
rather than like blaming outside influences. The
yeah,
school's done a lot for me. They've done a lot for me, but I've made some mistakes in my interaction with them, which I think I've rubbed them up the wrong way. But all I
right,
want to say to them, they've done a lot for me, and I want to just say thank you to them, really.
yeah. But there you go. I mean, to recognize that is power in itself, right? You know, um, yeah, all of those kind of books. You know, Jacko. I mean, I'm obsessed with this journey. You know, Jacko Willink is obviously Navy SEAL and understands that kind of mind side of it. It's no surprise to me that I discovered long distance running, ultra distance running actually, and you know, again, there's something in this journey that is incredibly freeing once you've navigated all of the stuff that goes with it. You know, all of the stuff in our day-to-day lives and everything else. But you know, the other thing is as well, the other thing that's interesting and this is why I really admire what you do, Marvin, because, and this is something myself and Jason at Small Nose and with Gaulier's school where it is, what we see our responsibility as moving forward. But you have to recognize that you are where you are with it. Other people around you, not only are they not where you are, some people around you have not got a clue. And not only that, don't want to have a clue, are not interested in it, you know. So, you know, in terms of the way I live my life here with my good lady and my 4-year-old little girl, we very, you know, I am a clown, but I very rarely talk about it in these four walls, just because, you know, my wife's a nurse. You know, polar worlds apart, and yeah, I don't know. I guess I feel like I'm waiting for the right moment to place myself into that world again. But I refuse to kind of do it in a way or at the behest of, like, I don't know, the arts, you know, arts council. I just feel like the time will arrive when the time is right. And all of this stuff will pour out of me in that time. And, you know, yeah, the world of clown, the world, what Philippe and Michiko, Carlo, like you say, everyone at the school, even Aitor, in just a simple conversation with Aitor recently, there was stuff in that 5-minute conversation that I just came away from going, yeah, I'm so pleased that I encountered this, and that, you know, I had the courage, I guess, to go and want to be the person that I could see, as opposed to the person that I was being, if that makes sense.
So it taught you to just be, what's it called? To be more, what's it called? Rather than wanting to be this or that, like dropping it down and just being accepting of things. Like,
Absolutely, yeah. Just be accepted, just be me, and I'm all right with that, you know. Like, so I am denied about coming on the podcast just because I thought, you know, you're what you're doing is incredible for emerging artists, to give them voice, in amateur artists, to get a bit of a platform, and to be able to talk about what it is they're trying to do. And, you know, something that I kind of, as I say, at the moment, my responsibility feels within that world of clown, is to pass it on. And Philippe wouldn't agree with me massively on this, because he would say that all children are clowns anyway. And there's something about us as we get older, as we build our identities and we pick up all those bad habits and those bad thought patterns, that makes clown really exciting when you get older, because what's compelling is to watch someone struggle sometimes. And young people are so free on the stage if they are clowning around, because they don't have all that baggage that we carry. But if you look behind the clown, if you look at what's going on there in terms of, you know, the way to take control, the way to remember that the voice in your head is a critic, and it doesn't, you know, it doesn't have to hold you back. It there's beautiful stuff behind there that I think is really powerful for education. You know, one of the aims of Small Nose is this idea of giving every young person that engages with us a red nose and saying, just put it in your here, this is for you. It's a gift from us to you. Actually, it's a gift from Gaulier. It's a gift from whoever taught Gaulier, wherever Gaulier got it. It's a gift. Put it in your bag. You don't have to get it out. You don't have to put it on. But every now and again, when you go about your day-to-day life and you go into your bag to get whatever it is, your maths book out, and you're going into maths, and in your head you think, I hate this. I'm bored. But you see that red nose and you just go, you know what? It's not so bad. Life's all right, man. Life is all right. We have struggles and challenges, but we are also, blessed with next door neighbors and people over the road, connection everywhere, abundance. We can, there's a lot of great things going on out there. And I just want to be joyful in my day-to-day existence and be happy. And that's undoubtedly what, again, the Gaulier journey, the clowning journey has given me. Maybe right now I don't say I'm a clown on the circuit, and who knows when that moment will be, but I certainly want to play my part in passing that on to the next group of people, that emerging artists, but also, as I say, young people who have just, for whatever reason, have lost their joy a little bit. And I think there's a way to do that using clown as a vehicle. You don't have to say, you don't approach a school and say, hiya, would like to come in and run a workshop. And what we're going to do is we're going to train your year sevens to be clowns, and we're going to provoke them and make them feel really uncomfortable, traumatize them a little bit, and then leave. And they'll get a lot from that. They'll be more resilient. See you later. Bye. It's not that. It's about finding ways that the skills that Philippe gave me, the idea of provocateur, that I'm not going to tell you how to do it. You've got to find a way for yourself to get through these challenges. And actually, one of the ways that we've done it, you mentioned Adolf Hitler, but strange moment to mention his name. But on this mad journey, I had this incredible fortune to be doing some work at a theatre in London. And I'd been to Gaulier 2010, and I'd come back, and I was way more confident all of a sudden. And I was living in Lewisham, and the local the artistic director of the Catford Broadway Theatre, Martin Costello, back then, he had been handed this document from Lewisham Borough Council, and it was about somebody going into schools and an educational project going into schools to help young people grasp the terrible things that happened during the Second World War to Jewish people, so the Holocaust and things like that. And they were looking for somebody to sort of produce this work and deliver it. And me and Martin knew each other really well. And Martin approached me and said, listen, mate, you've got this idea for a theatre company. You're going to need some bread and butter to get you going. This is there's a good budget attached to this. What do you think? I think the way you've spoken about sort of your delivery and working with your passion for working with young people, what do you think? This could be something, right? And I said, yeah, have a look at it. Anyway, I had a look at it. I had to draft a proposal, which I'd never done, and I got invited to interview. And I went into this room, and there was a man sat there in a suit, who I later discovered was like a counsellor. And there was this lady sat next to him, who I didn't, never met before. And it turns out that this lady was her name was Rachel Levy. Rachel Levy, as she is now, Rachel Levy BEM, so British Empire Medal. She was recognised and honoured by our late Queen, and she's an Auschwitz survivor. And it sort of came out in this meeting that's who this lady was, and I sort of sat there and instantly kind of went, I'm so out of my depth here. I ain't got a clue what to say. Like, you've got the wrong guy. This is going to be the worst job interview ever.
Oh.
And I kind of went. They went, so Mark, obviously what you put this proposal together. You've written a bit in here about clowning, and I was like, oh, am I gonna, yeah. And I just launched into it, and I began to explain about what theatrical clown was, and I did it in a sort of a performative kind of a way. And this lady laughed, and she laughed at me. And from that moment, I was like, okay, wow, okay. Anyway, I went through that interview. I got an email. So they invited me back for a second interview. I had to meet a bigger. Anyway, long story short is we got the contract. Small Nose was kind of born through that period, and I started to work with this lady Rachel over many years, and she became a real mentor to me. Her story is incredible. I mean, it's Hollywood. She, you know, her story encounters all of the big, you know, sort of characters of the time. But she was in Auschwitz, then did the march, the death march to Bergen-Belsen, was in Bergen-Belsen. Didn't tell her story for 50 years, and then eventually decided she had to share her story. She'd had a family. She'd gone on, had a family. They'd had children. The children had, you know, she had grandchildren. And they knew, but she never spoke about it. They knew, but they didn't know. And in spending time with me, she started to open up and share this story, and we worked together to kind of build this educational idea. And yeah, we go in and like we go into schools, and we engage young people with sort of a drama workshop idea. You know, at the beginning of the workshop is very clown. I sort of go, hi, you know, when I wear my glasses, my name is Mark Curtis, and you can call me that if you like. And everyone goes, oh, hello, Mark Curtis. And I go, oh, hello, everybody. And then you see the look on their face. They're like, he's taking his glasses off. So who is he now? And then we kind of go on this kind of journey of provocateur, creating these moments of how, you know, Hitler and the Nazis kind of built and organized this horrible thing, the whole Holocaust, how it all happened, following the sort of the symbolization, the dehumanization, polarization, moving you over here, doing it in kind of a very drama, moving around the room kind of a way. And then after we finished the workshop, and we piece it together, and young people begin to piece it together, and they go, so when that happened, and you were sort of giving me minus points, yeah, that made me go like this. I feel like, so sort of attacking it from the feeling perspective as well. And then this story of Rachel Levy sort of sat in the middle of it, and Rachel kind of tells her story, and then from that place, then the young people kind of tell their stories. Well, this is the way their reaction to that world was, and what this and what the stories do for them, and how does that resonate in their community on such and such a estate in Catford, or such and such an estate in Lewisham. And we started to put these ideas together, and what that's kind of done has been it's turned into this beating heart. But the thing that I always go back to, Mum, the reason I'm sharing it is because Rachel laughed. She emerged. A lady who has been through everything that she's been through, after 50 years of keeping all of that bottled up inside, and now we bicker like children. Like, she's like, Mark, you're so stupid. We like phone her up on a Sunday, and it's like, you know, I've not spoken to you for a couple of weeks. Where have you been? And it's like, you know, we just, and then I'll tell her a story, and then she giggles, and then she sort of tells me off a bit, and then she giggles a bit more. And what's Small Nose doing now? And this lady laughs. She laughs. And you kind of say to you, our kind of thing with young people is, let's figure out why we're not laughing and go from there. And there's stuff in this clown idea, you know, like I say, we don't say, let's be clowns, but we go in, and with those ideas that Philippe gave me, Michiko, everyone else, you know, that everybody's played their part in, we go from that place, and we unpack it from there, starting very much with that human, you know, from us. Powerful stuff, mate. Yeah, powerful. That's where I am with it at the moment. But who knows? My clown show is coming.
Soon.
Yeah,
No, I shouldn't say that, should I? I should just say it will be, it's coming. It's coming.
it will. It
When
will
you
come,
guys
mate.
least expect it.
Yeah, absolutely, definitely. Yeah. How about you? What are you working on at the moment? Are you working on anything?
So I'm going to Edinburgh this year, and the show's called A Spaniard's Guide to Learning Shakespeare, and
Yes.
I'm playing Zorro. Um, at the moment, I'm doing magic tricks, and they're going wrong, and I'm saying that represents Shakespeare. I'm
Yeah.
doing verses of Shakespeare in Romeo and Juliet in one of Zorro, then doing it in Spanish. Then I got the audience to sing it. Then I'm doing karaoke with them on stage as well. It's all sorts of crazy things that I'm doing with the show at the moment.
Beautiful, man. That sounds really cool. What we get up there? What Edinburgh this year? Is it you going to do it in London at all, mate? Or
Um, okay. What I'm gonna do it mostly in Edinburgh, but I'm gonna try and throw a few show ideas. So I'm gonna like do events because I'm just like a regular I'm not a big name. If I say I'm doing this show, whatever,
yeah,
I think they're unlikely to come. But if I put on a product or if I put an event that sounds interesting and then I try my 20 or 30 minutes of it in between it, I can get people in there and can
yeah.
find how it works. So that's what my plan is. I will plan to do something in London. I've got a few fun event ideas which I haven't put into place yet, and I'm looking for free hire venues because I'm broke.
Yeah. Oh, I
but
know that. Yeah.
but
Oh,
I'm planning to do a few in London.
I'll keep my ear to the ground for you, mate, on the higher venues. But I think it's important that like mind, like say that connection breathes on, and like-minded people come together. We'd love to support you, with a bum on a seat and come and watch and support your work. So, very, very keen to come and to see what you're up to there. I know Tom's going up to Edinburgh this year again, I think. So
Oh, that would be awesome.
yeah, so I've not seen Tom for quite a while. But as I say, yeah, he he uh he produces stuff every year. He is doing it, he's doing stuff. So um I'm going up to Edinburgh this year, but to run a marathon, not to
Whoa!
yeah. Um yeah, the ludicrous kind of long distance running journey. But I don't know, maybe Edinburgh, maybe. I don't see myself there, not at the moment, but maybe further down the road. But I see myself in a barn, sat on a hay bale, playing a guitar. There's nobody else there. Um, just laughing at myself, and then sort of having enough, putting the guitar down, and going back to my normal, going back to my wife, who's probably just looking at me going, "What are you doing?" And who knows, man? Who knows? But I, eventually you've got to do it, right? Eventually, one of the questions you sent me was about what makes a good clown. I think it's about going back to that extraordinary work ethic. So there's a myth, isn't there, in clown? It's just improvised. Why are some clowns hit and miss? Why do they not survive things like the gong or the Gaulier drum? Um, I think for me, it's down to work ethic. It's down to, people think, oh, a clown show, you could just rock up and I'm a clown and I'm going to stand on the stage and I'm just going to be funny. No, 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 no. For me, a clown show, there is an element of improvisation and of course play, but actually to build a clown performance, a clown routine, you rehearse it so over and 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 over for your life. And you go into this thing of kind of knowing the material, not just knowing the material. That kind of will turn up, I know the material, because that attracts words like, I know the material a bit, which is a blag. It's knowing the material. I don't know how to describe that. So, for example, Shakespeare, right? So, Shakespeare. So, near to her close and consecrated bower, while she was in her dull and sleeping hour, a crew of patches, rude mechanicals that worked from bread upon Athenian stalls were met together to rehearse a play intended for great Theseus' nuptial day. Shallowest, thick-skinned of that barren sort, primrose presented in their sport, succeeded and entered in a break. When I did him an advantage taken, asked his knowledge fixed in his head. I know the text. I don't have to search for it in here. Now I know the material. in my clown show, I can play with it at will. That's the improvised element. That, for me, successful clown show.
Okay.
If you stand in front of an audience and you're still searching in here, it's something different. Now, if the search is it comes out of a moment with the audience, bafflement, moment of vulnerability, in here, you ding clown skills. You know where you're going. You know you're there. I know I'm all right to be vulnerable here for a moment. Let the moment pass. You try something, big flop. Cut the tension. Tension goes up. Big flop. Tension goes up. The more committed you are, yippee! Oh, that was awful. Bang. Flop. Everyone, you're not taking it seriously either. You go back to the thing that you came to do. The thing you're playing with, because you know them. You can jump in the material, out of the material at will. You can fixed point. You can go, I'm playing with this thing. I'm just going to leave that thing there. Good. Now I'm going to go over here somewhere. Don't forget that thing's there, but I'm going to go over here somewhere. You've got all of that stuff at your disposal because you know the material.
Yeah.
Play it again. I would even walking on the stage, Philippe, think back to your experiences at the school and the amount of people who stepped on the stage and 10 seconds later the drum goes. That's a guideline. It's try a different way to come on stage. So I come through the door. Great. So many people would go, great, I've come through the door. Now it begins. No. Try 100, 200. How fierce do you want to be with your work ethic? But 500 ways of coming through the door. How many different ways can you come through the door and play? But then, the next part of it is knowing the material. And this sounds like something you're doing anyway, but place it in front of an audience because they're the ones who tell you. And you place it in front of an audience, you'll find something else. And the other thing that you have to do that, the reason you have to do that in front of a small audience, grow the audience over a period of time, but you have to do that because otherwise you can fall into the trap of being a little bit self-indulgent. And you kind of like look at the many times I can come through the door. And the audience are going, yeah, it's funny, but fuck's sake, get a move on. Move on, man. What's after the door, So it becomes some things work on the night, doesn't quite land as well as it did last night. The next night you try something else and it lands much better. The next night you try the same things last night, it doesn't land at all. So, that's brilliant selection process that's always going on in here. You've got a million things that you can do that you've done in the rehearsal room. You've forgotten about them. So in the moment, it's improvisation because you are, you're in front of the audience. Yeah, that's it.
Okay. No, this has been deep, Mark, man.
Yeah, I know, mate. I know, and you know what? I think that's been my journey, right? That's been my journey, and I think and feel, and as this week's gone on, and I've known that I'm speaking to you, it's come to the very much my conscious thinking, but I've been doing a lot of deep things, a lot of really hard, grueling things, and really, looking at the subject of like the Holocaust and stuff like that, deep trauma, looking at, ultra marathon running, putting myself through the mill, doing this stuff, trying to make the idea of discomfort be slightly more comfortable. And, clowning definitely has that element. I think the day my show emerges, or our show as Small Nose, whatever that looks like, it's going to be the day where that depth, I let it rest and I just go, now I'm ready for joy. Now I'm ready to share, and it will probably be shit. And it will probably flop, right? And everyone will go, right, we've been waiting for this. Oh God, it wasn't worth the wait. And that'll be that. But who gives a shit, man?
Yeah, who cares?
Yeah, we try, we go, we try, we do what's right for us, and we share with an audience because we hope it will mean something for them too. And when that moment comes, it will happen. So I'll be delighted to see your stuff, mate. It'll be great.
I'll make sure you get a free ticket. I'll give you the link
Thanks,
to it.
man. Yeah, a free one, please, because cost of the train will kill me.
One thing I want to say for anyone that's listening right now, how do they find out about you?
They don't.
Just message him
I'm,
on Facebook.
yeah, I'll give my mum a call. She usually knows where I am. No, yeah, no, we Small Nose is going through a huge transition period. So, like I say, to look me up, people who look me up and go, I don't really. There isn't much out there really about us and what we're doing. I think Small Noses has found something recently where we're going to redesign website and all that kind of stuff. So we are www.smallnose.co.uk. And you can have a look at our old website there and have a laugh at the fact that we didn't know what we were doing when we made it. But Facebook, Mark Christopher Curtis, I suppose. Either that or there's a really good pub in Ipswich that I like called the Greyhound. Every now and again, I'm sat in there kind of with me and my wife. If we get 5 minutes and a babysitter, we might pop over there. Yeah, that's us, mate.
Right, so
For now, for now.
for now, but keep tuned. He'll be, he's going to do a show soon. I'll put it up in the description when he does it, and you know where to contact him. Go to the Greyhound pub in Ipswich. Just stay there for a while, and eventually Mark will show up. Okay.
Yeah, that's it, mate. Yeah, slightly weird one with no teeth.
No, it's most of it's audio. You don't need to say that. Say you've got
Ah,
20 teeth. No.
oh, perfect. Perfect. 6 foot, whatever. I've grown to be comfortable in my own body, mate. It's all right.
Okay, so you guys, you know where to find him. All right. He is in Buckingham Palace. Now,
That's it. Yeah, new king. Knock on the door. I do his shoes. I clean his
yes,
shoes.
he's there here and there. Like when Charles needs a break, he's his body double.
That's it. Yeah. Oh God, can you imagine?
Oh, that would
Um,
be amazing.
when I went over for Gaulier's birthday, funnily enough, he did that. He had me. I got an email from him. He said, "You come as horse guard." I couldn't find a horse guards parade costume that wasn't stupidly expensive, so I had to get one off Amazon that was a child's version. So it just, barely fit.
Oh,
Ridiculous hat on my head, and we had a lot of fun. It was good to go back and see him, and I suppose actually watch this space for next year. Anyone who wants to, like we've said at the beginning, Philippe is where he is, but the plan in early stages of discussion and idea is to bring Carlo over next year. Carlo probably doesn't know anything about this. It was a Michiko and Mark discussion, but Carlo may come over, deliver the lion's share of the workshop with myself, Small Nose delivering a bit as well. But then Philippe would be around to come in at some point to sort of advise and to view some of the things that we've been doing in the workshop. So yeah, keep an eye out for that. If you'd like to be in the room with Philippe, we hope that he will be here next year. We really do, but we'll see.
and also give this podcast a review on 5-star on Amazon or iTunes. And I'll see you next episode. The next episode, I think I'm gonna maybe get some psychologists or get some mad comedians on. I don't know. I'm going to try something a bit wacky. I want to get something. I want to maybe get a criminal on the podcast. I don't know. I want to do something a bit. The next episode is going to be wacky, guys. You've seen the space, all right?
I look forward to it.